When G4TV was in its prime, the best way for you to get news at that time was from something like G4, especially video gaming news, was magazines, which, took a month to get, and cable, G4TV. Particularly X-Play was a really good show. And most of us had 28K modem or 56K modem. Not all of us had DSL modems. And also, not everybody, people were still getting their news that way. Okay, it's just the way it is. And at this time, feminism was going just as strong as it is today. And some of the ways females were presented at that time in G4TV was discussed. It's nothing new. And what I'm seeing is a lot of statements about the hypocrisy of lecturing people with these feminist assumptions because of the past of G4TV. Now, what you have to know about foundational ideas in feminism, and by the way, there is no monolithic way of understanding feminism, but there are some basic ideas that are generally accepted. One of these ideas, is that morality is culturally recursive, and that is that the final stop for morality is culture. And if you can change the culture, you can change the morality. So, but that's not entirely true, right? Because that assumes something above culture, which they don't agree with. To be progressive would mean to move to something beyond culture that's better than where you are. So it's not really accurate to call them progressives. It'd be more accurate to call them revolutionaries. Change itself is the progress. They may not like it, but that's the reality. So there has been change. So saying, look at this past that they have. We see that, those of us on this side of the cultural battle, I would say, we see that and think that's a very significant argument, which it is. But if your assumption, tacit assumption at that, is that change is what matters, that argument's not going to stick. Now, this feminist made 2 points we should agree with. The first point she said that I think we should agree with is that, and this was getting to the very end of her lecture, she said, if you don't like it, you shouldn't watch. I think that's absolutely true. And I'm not saying that to stick it to G4TV or X-Play. I think it's just true. You want to set up a foundation and set up an audience that you're going to appeal to. And if you want to have this be part of your content, that you want feminist lectures to be part of your content, then you should do that. I love Geeks and Gamers, but one of the things they were complaining about is them censoring their chat. Why? Well, they were censoring for them making plain statements. He said that ratio, though, and they censored him. Well, I mean, I don't agree with censorship, of course, but it's G4 censoring. That's not what they want on their channel. Let me give you an example to see if you might agree with me on this. And I think you should agree with the feminist on this and G4TV on it. Many years ago, World of Warcraft, there are two factions. I don't know if that's the case today because I only played it for like a month, but there's the Alliance and the Horde. And an Alliance user died. And their clan wanted to have a funeral on a PvP server. And so they began lecturing everyone in the Horde. And they said, don't come attack this funeral. I think they even gave a location and everything. What do you think happened? Well, they attacked the funeral. And a friend of mine was like, that was wrong. And I was like, no, it wasn't wrong. It's a PvP server. They did what you do on a PvP server. It was a really interesting debate. I'm not saying my friend was entirely wrong either. I actually think it was wrong. But here's the thing. How about you set them up for success? And what I mean by that is this. You say this. We're going to be having a funeral for a user. We want to honor his memory. So the way we're going to do this is we want to have a battle of glory for this character to honor him. Would you please show up and have a fight with us? And if you guys don't want to do that, then we're going to just have a funeral. You might have been surprised. The response might have been, yeah, we'll come fight in his honor, or it might have been, we're not going to show up so that you all can just have a funeral. Then there's still other things they could do just to be jerks about it, but you get the point. I think she was right to say, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Now, she said it in a very condemning and self-righteous way. And anytime someone's self-righteous, it's irritating because she's obviously not qualified to lecture us on morality. But, with the assumptions she has. Now, the second thing she said that I thought was very point that we can all agree on is that her and some of the co-hosts agreed that men trying to compliment women through bragging about autoeroticism was weird. Can we not agree on that? It is weird. But here's the problem. This is the definition of a straw man. She uses this as her launching point for her arguments, as if this represents all male gamers or all people that would disagree with this rant she's on. And that's where I had a big problem with this. And I was like, you mean you're going to base your argument on something that every single one of us thinks is strange except for the weirdos that are saying it? It's the internet, right? Do we not know how to use the internet anymore? Do we not know what's going to happen? Was anyone who heard this lecture surprised by this? That there was people saying things like this? So not only that, how do we know they meant what they were saying? They might have been trying to get, pardon the pun, might have been trying to get a rise out of people. I mean, it just shows how shallow of an argument someone can actually have for their position. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. I find feminism to be shallow to begin with. No matter how deep they try to paint it out to be, I just find it to be shallow. Very rarely even interact with it. But in this particular case where it's kind of creating a cultural stir, I thought it might be kind of interesting to address it. I'll put links in the description for the World of Warcraft event, the funeral that went wrong. And I will put a link in the description for the G4 rant. I think that, we need to be careful about just blanketly disagreeing with our opposition. Sometimes our opposition can teach us things about ourselves. And I think that in this particular case, if you don't like this, you should stop watching G4TV. They don't want you to watch them, so we'll watch them. And if that makes you more interested, then you should watch them. You see what I'm saying here? I think the complaining about it is a waste of time. I do. I think it's interesting. I'm complaining about it, right? I mean, come on. It's if you like that, then engage in it. But at the same time, don't blame them for wanting to set themselves up for the success, for what they deem as success. We may think it's misguided. I think it's misguided myself. But that's what they want. Give it to them. Have a good one.